Hello everybody, happy 4th of July 2020. I'm here with my friend Danielle, and we're going to do a nice basic haircut, and we're going to get started here, okay? So I'm going to have to take this hat off, okay? All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to do a basic fade here, and it's basically going to be a number one fade all the way around, straight around. And she requested that we taper it up nice and tight with 0 on the sides. And then I'm going to work my way to a top here, and we're just going to do a very light snip here on top, right, Danielle?
Yes, sir.
So kind of nice and spiky. Maybe leave it a little bit longer here towards the front and kind of choppy around here, okay? So I'm going to start just by kind of combing it out a little bit. I'm just going to comb through it. We're just going to comb through this here. And usually, when I do fades of any sort, for example, if a customer asks me, hey, I want a 0 on the sides or a number 1 or half or 1.5 or 2, I usually get my fade started with a larger length than what they request. For example, since she asked for a number 1 on the sides, I'm going to begin my blend with a number 2. This is just kind of a trick that I've been using for many years, and it's helped me a whole lot as far as blending in a haircut, and I'm going to demonstrate now. This is a number 2 on the Oster, and I'm going to kind of keep it on the medium-high side here. And if you notice, I'm going on an angle versus going straight up like this, though that is one way you can execute some haircuts. But in this one, since her hair is kind of coming this motion, I'm going to go against the current of her hair here and just push it the opposite direction, kind of on an angle here. And this ridge that you see here will eventually, that will be blended in with another clipper, okay? So again, this is a number 2 on the sides. And now that I'm coming towards the back occipital area, then I'll go more of a straight up motion. More straight up. So when I'm on the sides, I'm coming on an angle like this. But once I work my way this way, then I go more straight up, as you can see here. So about that point, and then again, I'm going to start going on an angle here. Just like this. And if you can tell, I'm going to use my arm here as an example. I'm almost kind of just gliding with a corner of the blade here, not cutting the hair, and another corner of the blade cutting the hair. I'll demonstrate that right now. See how some of it is not all cutting, but this portion of the blade here is cutting? So there's just a slight angle there I want to throw in. Just a slight angle. Okay, so now that the high side is complete with number 2, I'm just going to go over it one more time here. Now, I'm going to go from number 2 to 1.5. 1.5 is a step shorter than number 2. And I'm basically going to do the same thing, except I'm cutting into my number 2 that has already been established. See, going straight up back here. Straight up motions, going up and down. And when I get to about this point here again, I'll start going on an angle here. There we go. Almost working into the number 2. You can't tell too much of the difference, but this is my version of an elementary fade. That's what I will call it. Elementary fade, because I'm doing steps. 2, 1, 0, or 1, 2, 3. Just kind of on reverse. So just to double check my work, I'm doing the exact same motion, but going back where I started. Going straight up and down in the back. And then coming this way here. Thoroughly double checking my work. Next step is number 1. And as you can tell, what's been cut and what's been left long. So I'm going to work the number 1 on the Oster into the 1.5. As you can see there, I think that works in just nicely. I'm going to move the ear, push it down, and I'm just going to work this number 1, keep it around this area here. Now, down here, tilting her head slightly this way, I'm working number 1 into 1.5. Just like so, going straight up here. Now there's important details as far as angling goes. And the same goes here. 1 into 1.5. Pushing the ear down. And going from behind here. And again, I'm going to go back just like I started, double checking my work. And when you see a little shade or some darkness right there, I'm going to blend that down with another clipper here, okay? But basically, I just brought it all down using a number 2, 1.5, now 1. Okay? And if I wanted to, I could start blending this ridge with the number 1. I could start doing that if I wanted to, or with another clipper. It doesn't matter at this point. But this is just one way to kind of knock down the bulk and the weight of the size. So I guess I will do this one here. There we go. How you feeling there, young lady? You doing okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I appreciate you visiting me on 4th of July.
Of course. Where else would I go?
Ain't nothing much going on out there right now.
Nada.
We got to be safe. All right. So, after kind of just blending that in, bringing the weight down, I'm going to bring in another clipper here. This is called an Andes right here. And what I'm going to focus on is kind of blending in any dark spots, going from 1, 1.5, 2, using my comb to do any necessary blending. And I'm just going to start just kind of angling the clipper like this, and then just kind of doing some detail work here. Just kind of trying to fade that in. Now, I don't have the clipper directly on her head this way. I'm just kind of on a tilt, if you can catch that. On a tilt like this. And it takes practice. It takes practice to just kind of do that. It takes some time. But once you get the hang of it, well, this works magic. Same goes here. And sometimes you'll run into an occipital bone. Hers is perfectly fine, but some people have it real protruding real big right here like an alien. But her case, she's nice here, so... But it's good to kind of just tilt the head at different angles. That way the lighting in the barbershop, wherever you work, that way the lighting can assist you as far as seeing any dark spots, any shady spots. There we go. And just kind of fading that in. How do you like my all-American music we got going on?
I couldn't think of anything better to play.
You think the copyright's gonna get us, or YouTube rip off the video because I got some music in the background?
I can't say anything.
Sure hope not. Otherwise, this ain't America.
Right.
There we go. So, I basically just transitioned 2, 1.5, 1. And we're going to do a slight taper here in the back, and we're going to go with 0. So I'm going to tilt her head down just a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of blend this in, just kind of create a little line here. And then I'll be fading out this line with an Andes Master flat blade or a wall or whatever. Whatever it takes, whatever blending clippers you like. I'm just going to establish a little line here, okay? As you can see there. So I established a little line so that you can see what's clearly 0 and then what is clearly a number 1. Okay? And we're just going to blend this in here a little bit. And a technique with these clippers is that they open and they close. So when they're open, they're a little bit longer in the cut. And when they close, they're a little bit tighter. So I'm going to use a combination of open, a little bit of in the middle, and then close completely. Be very careful. Make sure your blades aren't badly adjusted to where they're poking or anybody. Just be very careful with that, okay? Just a little bit over here. There we go. I think that's fading in nicely. There we go. Okay, next step is that we're going to line it up around the edging here. And we're just going to cut some sideburns straight across here. And any kind of clipper is fine. I'm going to pull the ear down. And as you can tell, I'm just using this part of the blade right here. Right here. Pulling the ear down. These clippers are very powerful, very sensitive. And this area right here behind the ear is a very sensitive area right here. Because these clippers are sharp, very sharp, and I wouldn't be jabbing that into this area right there. So I'm kind of just placing that carefully there. I know she's a tough girl, but still, I want to be gentle, and I don't like marks left on her skin when we're complete with our haircut here. So again, we just discard the ear, move the ear, and just play gentle with this one here. Okay, I'm going to turn this way. Same thing on this side. Discard the ear here, remove it. And again, just gently placing. And again, I'm only using just the corner of the blade, either this side or this side right here. Just double checking. There we go. All right. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go to our scissor work here. So I'm gonna wet her hair down, and it looks like it's a little bulky right here. It looks very bulky again. So we're just gonna wet this down, and I'm gonna do some scissor work on top. Most of the work is gonna go right here around this crown, because when people kind of like to full hawk or flip their hair up a little bit, it's not necessary to have so much bunchy right here, so much bulk. So we're gonna blend this down a little bit more, and just a very little bit off the front here. Wetting her hair down. She has the perfect hair to just be able to texturize and spike up and just punk out on the weekends. I think she combs her hair to the side when she goes to church, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm just gonna comb through this here. Sometimes a customer will have some hairspray or gel. I think it's a nice courtesy to just comb it out a little bit. Comb through it. Being very careful. Comb through. And I like to measure the hair just to see where we're at. So I'll start with the front. And we're at about 3 inches length towards the front. I like to consider this the very top, which you're at 2.5. And then right here, crown is about 2. So it looks like it already has a consistent, longer, shorter, medium, longer style here, okay? And just to demonstrate, I don't know if the camera can get that. There's a 1 there, there's a 2, 3, 4, and there's just inches, equivalent to inches on this comb here, just for demonstration purposes here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, push forward. I'm gonna lift towards the front, and I'm just gonna take a tiny bit off. Hardly nothing. Towards the middle. And I can tell just by the jaggedness of the hair, meaning uneven, jagged, that it's been texturized and thinned out before. To the trained eye, you will be able to see that someone has already done a little bit of this here. You can kind of tell. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean up just a tiny bit here. Just a little bit, just to kill those ends there. Same concept. Went down the middle. I already worked on this. I'm going to work on this side here. Just a tiny bit. There we go. Push this forward. I'm going to push everything forward here. And for this crown, I'm just going to kind of freestyle it here. There are many different ways in which you can take down a crown, for example, using clipper over comb or thinning it down with thinning shears. But I'm just going to start on this corner here, and I'm just going to work around it like this, up to her cowlick point here. And I'm going to use that as a guide. Coming towards her cowlick area. Coming up towards that. And I'm okay with a little bit of a choppy look because that's kind of her style anyway. Okay, same thing. Kind of going this way. Going all the way to her cowlick, which is right there. Just working towards that area. That's the starting point in which the hair just kind of grows and dictates which direction the hair is going to push and grow out. So I'm just shortening this area a little bit. There we go. Okay. So I think she's got a good medium length here, medium long towards the front. Shorter, as you can tell, it's way shorter than what it was before. Okay. And the next trick I want to demonstrate before we finish up is I gotta blow dry the hair, and I'm gonna double check and make sure the crown is not sticking out. Let me get my blow dryer real quick. Almost done, my friend.
I am good to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great looking right forward to the barbecue later.
Yeah? All right. Mark, I'm going to pick this up from the floor. You're going to have to edit that shit out, okay?
Yeah.
Edit that shit out. Good? Okay. So I'm going to start drying the hair. I'm going to start by pushing down. This is going a little bit to the side. Pushing down. This is where it's going to start getting tricky. As it dries up, it's going to give the appearance that it wants to stick up in this area, but I'm okay with that because I need it to stick up. That means it's dry. Now I'm going to start pushing against, going back. Going back, and then forward again. So as you can tell, I'm kind of tossing the hair, going back, forward. I'm going to get it nice and dry here. go. I love drying the hair. Maybe not quite bone dry, but dry enough to see any kind of mistakes or discrepancies or unevenness or bulkiness or whatever. After a nice wet scissor cut, I recommend that you are not lazy to dry the hair and double check your work. And at the same time, this is a good time. If your customer has a little bit of hair on her forehead or something, just kind of, you know, clean her up a little bit there. All right. So now that that's dry, I'm going to use a clipper to go over my work. And this is a great length right here. I think this looks really nice. So what happens is around this crown area, things tend to step out. And that's what I'm looking for, just so I can round it off with my clipper here. Just rounding off these corners here. And this is my way of double checking my work. There we go. Maybe just a little bit right here. You're looking great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you again so much for spending the day with me today.
It was my pleasure, Matt.
Happy 4th of July. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to show her the mirror. She's going to take a look. And I'm just going to leave it nice and dry. I like to show the customer what the haircut looks as it's dry. That way they can assure they're not going to find any mistakes when they go home and they shower and they dry out and someone points out a mistake of any sort. And then if the customer chooses they want a gel or pomade to dress it up, we can do so. Okay. Let me just grab that mirror there for you. Okay, my friend, let's grab this mirror, take a look, and I will take your suggestion if you have any, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that feeling good?
Perfect.
All right.
Looks really good.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. God bless you and take care. Holy shit, everybody. Wow.
Those are some good ass fireworks.
Holy!
Holy shit! Oh, Lord Jesus.
Dude, I thought we were gonna have a haircut and everything. I look like shit.
Dude, that was crazy. We were trying to throw them away before the cops come.
All right.